One game on the road so far. Today, the Calder Cup champion Providence Bruins were at the Civic Center. And in the early going, we had a young fella getting jiggy with it. There he is. As the Pirates built on their 1-0 lead, Barry Moore, top of the slot, K1-0.
And I don't know. I might not.
You're just going to sort of wait and see how things come out.
That's right.
Lobstering is hard work. As Prout said, it's tedious. No formal academic training quite equips a man to know about the sea. That knowledge comes slowly and by experience. It's personal, deep knowledge, which chisels each individual into a separate character, self-reliant and immensely steady, like the hard and jagged rocks which line the coast. Do such men ever get nervous when confronted by the temperamental Atlantic?
There's been times when, if something had happened, you've been in a hard place, but it just didn't happen at that time. That's what I mean. I've had, well, I remember one morning I was hauling traps in, well, next to shore, pretty close to the breakers, and it wasn't a good place to be in. At that time, well, I got out of there and went somewhere else and started hauling where it was good, and I had a set of points break. Well, there was nothing nothing you could do. So there's things happen like that, and we don't know why. Yeah?
Tell me this: do you ever get scared when you're out on the water and it roughs up? Or anything?
Yes, I've been scared several times.
How's that?
I wasn't frightened at the time, but after it's all over, and then I thought where I was and what I did. Yes, I was.
That's called
frightened.
hindsight, isn't it?
I guess so. That's right. I've thought of it many times since. This tight spot you were in, you know.
What do you mean a tight spot?
Well, too close to the breakers, in other words. Like every look to catch a dive.
Is it a particularly dangerous life, do you think?
Yes, I think so, to a certain extent. I mean, you still got to use judgment. You know, you've got to have respect for the sea, you know, have no respect for you.
Thus, the life of the lobstermen and the community around them is paced by season and tide, rather than by the rapid tick of a clock. Nothing man can do will hurry or slow his surrounding environment. This society responds accordingly. There's time for the operators of the Skilling's boatyard to build good boats and to have a few unhurried moments of fun by hauling their very small punt ashore on their rather large marine railway. Of course, walking up a ramp would be quicker, but here there's time for fun, time for living, time for good-natured banter.
Now, what was so painful about that?
You don't know the ache I got my back.
The lobsterman is an independent businessman sharing in a multi-million-dollar industry. His code is based on the free action of an individual. In Maine, his product, the lobster, is protected by catching rules, and breeding stock is returned to the sea. A female lobster covered with seed is nature's investment for future lobsters, provided the rest of nature's cycle remains intact. But opinions vary on the future of the lobster business.
There seems to be a very bleak future at the present time to the regular fisherman. It is a free fishery. As I pointed out, conditions have made it possible for people to get into the industry with a very small investment, and with a greater number of people getting into the industry, it forces our regular fishermen to build more traps, fish more gear, in order to catch the amount of lobsters that he has caught in previous years. Well, it's hard to say, Joe. I mean, it's like a lot of other things. It's beginning to get crowded, but there could be a good future in it. But I wouldn't dare to say.
As long as the supply holds out and just common supply and demand works, as long as if the lobsters shorten up and there aren't so many, as long as the price goes up accordingly, I don't see why the business can't hold out. Of course, if the consumer won't pay the price for the lobster, then we're in trouble.
Regardless of cautious appraisals of the future, the urge to remain a lobsterman is wrapped in more of an intangible than profit and loss. A lobsterman wears his independence, Not like a shield for chest thumping, but more like a pair of extremely comfortable old shoes. Never taken for granted, but always appreciated. The rocky coast, a cold sea, the lobsters, they're all a part